Hey everyone, thank you so much for clicking on another video. Today is really exciting. We're going to be talking to Devin about his film Wild Ginger. Devin, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So, in your own words, can you please just describe Wild Ginger just so that the audience at home can understand what the film is about?
Sure. So Wild Ginger is about a South African influencer, loosely, if not entirely, based on my cousin, Chad Nathan, aka Ginger with a GoPro. He's an influencer in Cape Town. It basically follows his journey. His parents, he still lives at home with his parents. His parents go on vacation. He throws a party, and their precious English bulldog goes missing. And the movie's basically him trying to get it back before the parents come back in time. Shot this in 2022, so about a year and a half ago. I'm My family is South African, but I'm an American. Obviously, you can hear the accent. Although I do have some of the South African lingo down. Yeses. Um, but yeah, made the movie. My cousin is not an actor. His friend in the movie, Seed, is not an actor, but they played themselves more or less. And we had an insane time making the film, and super happy with how it turned out, and hoping to turn it into a feature soon.
Flip, that is so awesome to hear. So honestly, good luck in regards to turning that into a feature. I just want to ask you quickly. You said that this was definitely based off of like the influencer lifestyle and everything like that. Of course, it's based off of a real life South African influencer.
Yeah.
What sway did that have in the movie making process?
Well, listen, I'm not an influencer. I mean, 1,600 followers, so not bad, but like, clearly not an influencer. But I had spent a lot of time with him. Just, I came to South Africa. I spent about a month in his flat well, I'm not going to give away the location, but in Cape Town. And yeah, so I got like a firsthand look. We were making little TikToks together, pretty shocking TikToks, honestly. But I got to see what his life was like, the hecticness, partied with him. So I mean, and he's my cousin, so I just, we've known each other for 20 years, so I just know kind of who he is. So I think while it wasn't my life I was putting out on the page, I still think it was quite a personal story and telling. And the way we made the film, if I wrote a piece of dialogue that he or his friend Seed thought was like shocking, they'd be like, Dev, like Brew would never say that shit. Like, we'd say this, or honestly, half the time they weren't even using my script. They'd read the scene so they know kind of what the gist of the scene was, and then they'd kind of freestyle it. So yeah, I think it was a pretty true telling of at least what his life as an influencer is like. Whether or not it's most influencers, I don't know, but he's like a little Cape Town celeb and decided to put it on the big screen.
Okay, so then I've just got to ask, like we're all told, like the most basic rules in film is don't work with animals and don't work with children. So why was one of the first things, like the crux of this entire story, there's a dog going missing? So talk us through that process. I mean, we don't have the amount of time that feature lengths films would have had to in regards to the filming and everything like that. So just in
Yeah.
regards
How was
to
it working with the
how's
dog?
working with the dog? Yeah.
Yeah. Louis. So the dog's name's Louis. He is one of Chad's second cousin's dogs. We found the dog 2 days before we started shooting, and I'd always pictured it being an English bulldog, but we just couldn't find one. And then this, luck had it that this guy had an English bulldog. Louis was great. A lot of energy. A lot of the times you kind of hope that he would do one thing. Jeff, the owner, would kind of help direct him sometimes. He would basically follow Jeff wherever he went. So if Jeff went into the other room, Louis would kind of follow him in there. He was quite rambunctious though. So a lot of the times there's a scene where Chad's trying to put him in like a doggy crate before the party, and Louis just would not go into the doggy crate. We tried 20 different things, and this wasn't even acting. This was Chad trying to get the dog, and it just would not get in. And I think in a way it kind of worked out well, where I hadn't even imagined the scene like that, but because the dog was such a pain in the ass, it actually just made it much funnier. And so yeah, he he was a handful, but great dog. He came to the premiere. He walked the red carpet, and it was a vibe.
Okay, that's great to hear, because honestly, that is one of my favorite scenes as always. Just like, just and he throws the dog in. He just didn't have the time for that. So that is cool to hear. Sometimes we can't predict how scenes are going to turn out. So that's really, really cool to hear. As we said that this is also a comedy, you've decided to take on an incredibly difficult genre. In my honest opinion, I would say comedy is one of the hardest genres to write for. It's one of the hardest genres to direct. You kind of have to have trust in your audience that and also in your actors that they're going to be able to deliver the joke and the audience is going to be able to receive the joke and have a good time. So can you just tell me what were some of the struggles you faced filming a comedy that you wouldn't think are necessarily present in other genres?
Yeah, for sure. Comedy's tough. I think that's typically just been the genre I'd make. It's not really a decision. It just kind of ends up being the way the scripts are and the type of stories I like to tell. I think with this one, it was kind of easy because it wasn't like, oh, make the scene funnier. It was just, I find my cousin funny. I find his friend funny. Like the dog was, it was honestly just playing it real and getting them to act. And, frankly, we didn't even think too much about it. We just we shot 40 pages in 4 days. So we were just like flying through the script. We didn't even have time to really overthink it. And I think that actually helped it, where it was just very kind of natural. And, obviously in the editing process, there's a lot of things you have to kind of work through. But ultimately, I think I was trying to put my cousin's life, which is already just quite a wild and fucking crazy life that he lives, and it's hectic. And I was like, if I can just capture even like half of that and put that on screen, I think like it'll be good. And I think I did. So yeah, hopefully that answered it.
That was perfect. And so, Devin, I just want to say we're running to the end of our time now. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you.
You said earlier that you have, what was it, 19.7 or followers on Instagram. You're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong.
1623 maybe?
1623. So we know you've got a social media presence. Can you just let everyone know what projects you're going to be working on and how they can follow you, just so that people can follow you on this journey moving forward?
Yeah, please. My tag is at Devin Glass Films. So it's DEVINGLASS, like a glass window films. I'm going to be, as I said, trying to shoot this feature, possibly going to be coming back to South Africa soon to shoot that. So that's kind of the next big one. Working on some commercials, but I'd say the next big one is making this feature happen, which the feature is going to be similar to the short film, but it's going to take on some bigger issues, but also like be even crazier and wilder. So yeah, follow me on Insta and maybe I'll follow you back.
And then one final one. Is the feature film going to end on a cliffhanger?
No, this was like a pilot. So the feature will have an ending. And yeah, so I'm very excited. The feature is already written. And so yeah, if anyone watches the short and wants to invest some moolah, hit me up, baby.
Well, Devin, thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who are curious to learn more about the South African Independent Film Festival, you can check out the other videos on this channel. But thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe.